that this is the beginning of the new 6th meeting of DMF that first took place in 2015. And right now in 2020, we're holding it in a non-standard way. It's the online platform now, but it's the standard of the today's new conditions for which the Ukraine is in and the entire world. So this, because of the pandemics, so this year we decided to hold this forum online, which has defined the format of our event of Donbas Media Forum online. And our aim hasn't changed, is to encourage discussions about standards and journalist ethics, to help holding discussions and thinking about the roles and aims of the modern journalists both in the east of Ukraine and in our country and the region of the Eastern Europe. Apart from that, we also need to attract attention of our audience to understanding of professional work and principles according to which the content is produced by our editorials. These are the aim of this year Donbas Media Forum, and despite pandemics and all the limitations, we're still holding our meeting online, and we are counting that you as our colleagues and audience shall be actively involved to comments, giving us feedback, and we are very interested in your opinions on those topics we're going to be discussing for these 2 days of DMF. In 2019, in Kharkiv, we were very optimistic about 2020, and this optimism right now is giving us the feeling that right now things will be wonderful during these 2 days of Donbas Media Forum, but most importantly that despite the fact that we have gathered online and we can't meet each other in person yet, but still the discussions about the goals, opinions that I have specified in the beginning, that they continue and don't stop. Our panel discussions, workshops are describing the trends of the Ukrainian journalism. And just like 6 years ago, we are still bothered everything about Donbas in media and politics, in post-conflict regulation and discussions on the diplomatic way of solving the situation in the east of Ukraine. And one of the key aspects of this year forum is self-regulation of journalists, since Ukraine how much Ukrainians trust the term self-regulation and of the editorial, and how do they understand the term self-regulation? We do not know the answer to these questions, and such surveys were not conducted by social experts. Unfortunately, that's why we are to develop this discussion, and we are to discuss it with the social experts, the ways of how should we communicate the idea to the audience about self-regulation and how they understand this process. The hidden political advertisement, hate speech, and other negative things is peculiar to the part of media in our country and in general in the world. So I think that during these 2 days, we shall be very attentively studying these questions and very self-critically treat discussions on these topics. Also, would like to emphasize that during these 2 days, we are to stick to our main principle that we comply with from the beginning of the Donbas Media Forum, is the safety during communication, and the safety of our journalists, and the safety of opinions expressed at the forum. Most importantly, do not attack each other and do not arrange the Facebook format of discussion during this forum, and to comply with the ethical norms. I hope that we will cover this challenge as well. We'll manage this challenge as well. As for our reply to such things that I have specified just now in my short speech, one of the answers is self-regulation. Another is cooperation and solidarity, connection with each other. Also is to share experience and mutual education. All of this you will see during this forum in Kiev and online for many other cities. I would like to say to express gratitude to our partners and organizations, so the logos of which you'll see on the screen, but most importantly, those who joined to the work of our USAID and the EU delegation to Ukraine, and the coordinator of the project OSCE in Ukraine, UN, and the EU project and Council of Europe project. They are working together for a strengthening freedom of media in Ukraine. Right now, I would like to give floor to my former colleague from the NGO sector, but right now, deputy uh, Deputy Minister of Culture and Information Policy. So please tell us a few words to all those who watch us right now. Thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, the Ministry of Culture and Information Policy is also the partner of the Media Forum. And so greetings to all of you. And I'll be very brief, but I would like to say that I'm very pleased to be the participant of the opening of the forum and the participant of the forum itself. The key theses which are most important for our work in the ministry and which refer to our today's topic that we're going to discuss is that we all need to take care of the safety of journalists. And the safety questions, the safety matters is vitally important for all the citizens. But journalists are a special category of people. There's the people that are on the front line of information, communications, or messages about what's happening in the east of Ukraine, in Crimea, and everything that happens in the state. We all understand what the freedom of speech means, and the guarantee of safety of journalists is what the state is responsible of. But unfortunately, we have many cases, many examples of the attacks on the journalists, and these cases must be investigated. That's why for the ministry, this is one of the priorities, to improve, to enhance safety of journalists. And very soon we plan to discuss together with the international and public organizations. And of course, it's not just discussing. We have to have the exact results. I remember many, many examples of the laws adopted for the past years, but they did not improve the situation in reality. They did not improve the safety situation. Secondly, it's the question of standards and information that is transferred. It's both legal and ethical matter. Unfortunately, a lot of disinformation and also lies, and that's also like limitations, and we have to be working really hard and to be really careful. But I think that most of you will agree that the problem is in big amount of disinformation that exists. And third question, it's the information reintegration of Donbas, Crimea. In the state, there is the information strategy, the plans. So we would like to have these plans in progress, and not to be just in paper. And we have to, of course, apply forces, joint forces, both on the national level, public level, and international level. And the last I would like to mention is support of media. Of course, media as business is to be independent. But nevertheless, in the peaceful times and in the times of conflict and of the coronavirus, the business requires support, and the state is to support media. In the framework of the Ukrainian Cultural Fund, there's the possibility of the investment support of media that I would like to mention, both for the TV and printed formats. It's the support that was allocated from the state budget through the Ukrainian Cultural Fund. It's a small drop the state is giving now, but it's still very important. So I hope that the financial support is still going to be increasing. So greetings to all of you one more time. Thank you for having invited me, and have a wonderful discussion today and good results. Thank you, Taras. And right now I would like to give floor to Matti Maasikas, uh, Ambassador of the European Union and head of the EU delegation to Ukraine. We are very happy to see you here. And for the past 6 years of the forum existence, we cooperate with you very tightly because we understand how similar the problems with the Ukrainian media inside of Ukraine, and it's a part of the general, European landscape. So please give the floor is yours. Thank you, Mr. Oleksiy. Greetings to all of you.
Of the sixth Donbas Media Forum, the European Union fully supports the development of professional, independent and unbiased media in Ukraine. And we welcome all the initiatives that address the challenges of disinformation and misinformation in the country. And that is why the EU delegation to Ukraine has become a partner of the Donbas Media Forum since its establishment in 2014. We do believe that the media is not only a cornerstone of every democratic society, but also plays a crucial role in any conflict resolution and reconciliation process. The Donbas Media Forum is also the unique event gathering journalists, media experts and professionals who are sincerely looking for a peaceful settlement in Donbas. We are convinced that despite the challenges of the coronavirus crisis and in such a new online format, this forum remains an excellent platform to discuss these issues related to media development in Ukraine, with a focus on regional media and Eastern Ukraine. The current pandemic demonstrates how important it is for all of us to adapt to the changes quickly and find effective solutions. This is of acute relevance, of course, for the media sphere as well. The responsibility of journalists for reporting truthful, reliable information during the crisis is only growing. To address the challenges related to the COVID-19, the European Union has mobilized in support to Ukraine's coronavirus response under regional and bilateral programs more than 190 million euro, in addition to the already established support. The EU's assistance includes the support for the development of independent media and EU's resolute efforts in the recent years to step up its fight against disinformation and to promote media literacy. The EU's support to such initiatives like Donbas Media Forum are a clear and concrete illustration of these endeavors. In this matter, we also welcome the legislative initiatives aimed at harmonizing Ukrainian legal media framework to be in line with European standards. We are, of course, aware of the particular situation Ukraine's media finds itself in with the Russian acts of aggression and the propaganda war. But we insist that those legislative initiatives can still be done in a way that do not restrict media freedom of speech, but promote the development of independent media. To rethink the priorities of media outlets and journalists, to check the facts, report, and to assess critically the reality, or then serve the interests of their owners or serve the interests of particular political parties. It is also an opportunity to show how professional journalism in Ukraine has overcome the corona crisis. I believe that during the 2 days of Donbas Media Forum, you would have an ample chance to discuss all these challenges, including how to reach specifically the residents of Eastern Ukraine in particular those Ukrainian citizens living in areas beyond the control of the government, which are subject of Russian aggression and disinformation campaigns. I wish you very fruitful discussions. Thank you.
Спасибо, дякую. Дякую за добрі побажання.
Thank you so much for your well wishes, for your good words. And now I would like to give word to a recorded word from Deputy Chief of Mission of the US Embassy in Ukraine, Kristina Kvien. She also joins our welcome speeches to the delegates of the forum and our.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the 6th Annual Donbas Media Forum, and thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts. The forum comes at a critical time for Ukraine when the combination of continued Russian aggression and a global pandemic bring extraordinary challenges to your country and highlight the increasingly important need for trusted and accurate information. The Donbas Media Forum is about bringing people together in the spirit of overcoming crisis and adversity and providing media and journalists with the tools to rise to the new challenges facing their communities. This year is no different. COVID-19 is a new kind of crisis that presents specific challenges with serious implications for the way media undertakes its responsibilities. It is a complex and novel threat that is not well understood despite the best efforts of researchers around the world. The evolving understanding of the virus, how it is spread, and how it is prevented opens the door to misinformation or disinformation that directly impacts the health and security of our populations. For this reason, today's media forum will assess how accurate and reliable the Ukrainian media has been in informing citizens about COVID-19. The Institute of Mass Information's monitoring of traditional media found that in March 2020, more than 50% of news coverage was focused on stories about the pandemic. But by August, that number had fallen to around 12%, which is a natural decline over time. The research also showed that only a relatively small proportion of online news coverage of the virus, about 8%, was not presented in a professional and balanced fashion. We're confident that journalists, for the most part, are presenting objective, fact-based information. Social media offers additional challenges for media professionals and governments. If we had concerns about the pervasiveness of disinformation in the Ukrainian information space before COVID-19 struck, we are seeing even more areas for concern today. Social media offers many entry points for disinformation, whether through Russian malign influence, by conspiracy theorists, or outlooks looking to profit via viewer clicks. At a time when citizens need timely, reliable, and accurate information more than ever, the public first has to filter through disinformation that is strategically designed to instill fear and divisiveness. The discussions that will occur today about these issues, including the media's public service role, how to combat disinformation, the vital importance of media ethics and standards, and how to report on the upcoming local elections, come at a key moment. Reliable, trustworthy information is more important than ever, and it is critical that journalists have the knowledge and tools on how to disseminate that information to viewers, readers, and listeners. I wish you productive discussions over the next 2 days as you work to make Ukraine's media landscape stronger than ever.
So these were the welcome speech of Kristina Kvien, chargée d'affaires of the US Embassy in Ukraine. Today we also have with us Henrik Villadsen, Ambassador Henrik Villadsen, OSCE Project Coordinator in Ukraine. We really value your work in Ukraine. Please tell us a couple of words.
Oleksiy, and thank you to the colleagues as well. It's a privilege for my office and the OSCE to again partner with the Donbas Media Forum, which is nowadays one of the largest discussion platforms for media professionals in Ukraine. And especially in these extraordinary circumstances now imposed on all of us as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. While the logic of dealing with this pandemic requires social distancing, I'm very pleased that Ukraine's media community has found a way to overcome this obstacle and this year gather to discuss challenges and possibilities to cooperate online. I welcome this for a simple reason, as no matter what crisis is upon us, whether it's an outbreak of a dangerous disease or an armed conflict, what remains unchanged is the importance of good and sound journalism, which you all stand for, and we all stand for. Media informs its audience about problems and their scope and their context, but also enables society to discover tools how to respond to these problems. From the point of view of the OSCE, free and professional media, it is one of the most important conditions of security in any society. Unfortunately, all crisis developments have another similar feature. As governments struggle with responses, they're always tempted to try and impose limitations on journalists, often for very serious and legitimate reasons. For example, to limit public disorder and thus, through that, defend public security. It's also an increasing global trend to develop and introduce more and more regulation to the media sector in order to combat waves of disinformation and address a various number of important security threats. My office, with good advice and guidance from the OSCE representative on freedom of the media based in Vienna, as we know, has been promoting a different approach that could in many ways replace regulations from the state. Excessive limitation of media freedoms may in the end undermine all other freedoms. So we are advocating among journalists self-regulation as a way to deal with many issues that have a potentially negative impact on the media environment. We do believe that journalists can themselves address a number of things that are rising or may rise from bad practices within the media community, establishing and promoting high standards for the work of media, identifying and publicly exposing the black sheep, if you like, among the media community is in fact a powerful tool, I believe, to deal with most grievances that serve as a reason for limitations for the work of media professionals. It's also important to perceive critical views from colleagues as a way to see your own mistakes and learn how to avoid them. So discussions that provide a platform for journalists in exchanging views on what's going on in the community are always important and always welcome. And I hope that all the participants of this week's Donbas Media Forum will make full use of the next couple of days to engage in these discussions. So again, thank you on behalf of myself, on behalf of my office, and on behalf of the OSCE to be a partner here. Thank you very much.
Дякую, Генрік, дякую вам за
Henrik, thank you so much for your warm wishes for our forum, for our discussion. Now we have with us Gillian McCormack, Internews director in Ukraine. They have a huge project in Ukraine, and we have been working with Internews for many, many years. We value our cooperation. Gillian, can you hear me?
Добре, Gillian.
Okay, Gillian, so the floor is yours.
Sorry. Я еще online?
Да-да.
Yes, you're online, please.
Oh, okay.
Please, the floor is yours.
Slight technical problem. Доброго ранку, дорогі друзі, шановні учасники цьогорічного
Good morning, dear friends, dear participants
вже шостого Donbas Media Forum.
of the Sixth Media Forum.
Якщо ми не можемо зустрітися особисто,
We cannot meet personally,
зустрітися в режимі.
so the best way is to meet online.
Мені здається, що за останні 7 місяців в
It seems to
Україні
me that within the past 7 months, I've had many, many meetings with my old friends,
давно не бачили.
which I hadn't seen for a while.
Мені цікаво, а у вас таке саме відчуття?
And I also want to ask you whether you have the same feelings about that.
Минулого року ми всі мали змогу
Last year, we had the opportunity to meet together in Kharkiv,
і це була чудова подія.
and it was an excellent opportunity for all of us. A huge part of this forum was to be able to see my friends
Робити все те, чого
and to
абсолютно
do
рекомендують робити.
what we are not recommended to do because of the limitations related to COVID-19.
Однак я вдячна колегам з Донецького
But I am grateful to my colleagues from the Donetsk Institute of Information
провести цей форум
Т-
2020 року.
for the opportunity to hold this forum online.
Проблеми, які наразі зачіпають нашу
The problems which now arise in the media community
і нам
are very challenging,
більше голосів
and we need to hear more voices from all parts of Ukraine
вийти з цієї кризи.
about how to overcome this crisis.
Якщо залишити в сторони не за
If we set aside our concerns over how journalists can continue their work and defend themselves against coronavirus,
що теперішня ситуація
the current situation
як для
has become a catastrophe not only for advertisers
медіабізнесу
but also for the media business,
навпіл, а іноді на більше скоротилися бюджети
because the budgets have been cut almost in half. The salaries have been cut in media companies, but they had to fight for their independence, to think about new ways to work, and they need to understand where to get this money from.
минулого року в цей самий час
Last year, in this time, we could say that Ukrainians were welcoming autumn with optimism.
національне опитування
National surveys showed that more than half of Ukraine
відбувалися у правильному
considered that Ukraine was developing in the proper way. This year, a similar survey of the National Republican Institute showed different results. 65% of the respondents think that Ukraine is moving in their own direction.
цікаво, що українці заявили,
It is interesting to know that Ukrainians said they are more confident in those measures which were taken not by the government,
вживаються загальнонаціональним урядом.
but by the all Ukrainian government to fight the pandemic and its consequences.
Мені цікаво, що вони скажуть, коли ми
I'm interested what they will say when we ask how they trust the media, local media and national media.
минулого року українці
Last year, Ukrainians had more trust in the media, as our survey showed.
торік довір'я до всіх традиційних медіа впало.
The trust in traditional media has fallen.
Значно знизилося в рік президентських та парламентських.
In the year of the presidential and parliamentary elections, it has fallen.
Якщо ми думали, що споживачі не знають,
If we think that consumers don't know about corruption in the media, the statistics proves that citizens see this prefabricated news. They don't like it. They notice it.
напередодні місцевих
So beforehand, the local elections, I think it's very important to support people who come to Donbas Media Forum. Why? Because this event takes place for allies in the fight of preserving the quality, good quality journalism. I'm thanking the organizers and the participants of these 2 days of the forum, for their energy and for their vision of the future and their devotion to the open and democratic Ukraine. So I wish you, and I wish to all of us, luck and good health. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Gillian, for your wishes and for such wonderful reflections on the state and the situation with the freedom of speech and the situation with media in our country. So, dear colleagues, we are going to finish our greetings. I was very happy to see you in the studio as usual, and we'll proceed. And for our audience, I shall inform that Donetsk Institute of Information is going to start stream from Kramatorsk, where the head of the Donetsk and Luhansk state civil administration are going to join us, and you can ask them questions you have. And we are going to prepare in our studio for our first panel discussion, Breaking the Vicious Circle, How to Consolidate the Ukrainian Society Through the Media Despite the Conflict in Donbas. We'll start in a few minutes.